Show. You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Locking down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city on this Friday. That means we're brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Working towards the weekend. We are almost there. Hopefully you are, but if not, we'll get you to the finish line with you until 3 o'clock. Got Jacob Beck and Kathy Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Preston Guy with us in 15 minutes talking LSU football. We'll talk some running backs with Preston Guy. We officially really dive into football head first Monday as SEC Media Days cranks up from Dallas, Texas. So got some baseball that I do want to get to today. 1 hour from now, top of hour number 2 o'clock, I'm going to go through what I think the MLB draft is going to look like for LSU. It starts on Sunday with rounds 1 and 2 in the comp rounds and goes into Monday, rounds 3 through 10, and then Tuesday, rounds 11 through 20. I will give you my projections based on the conversations that I've had over the last 24 hours. And let you know what I think's going on there at 2 o'clock. Got some fascinating quotes from LSU commitments, Bryce Underwood and Harlem Berry, about name, image, and likeness. Steve Gleason was rewarded with an ESPY last night. So lots and lots to get to. But the lead story today is Paul Skenes. Earlier today, he was announced the starter for the National League in Tuesday's All-Star game. This man was pitching in Omaha, Nebraska 13 months ago. Yesterday, I laid out the case why I thought it would happen. I thought the announcement would come a little bit later on into the weekend. Instead, they make that announcement right now. It makes sense for a ton of reasons. One, he deserves it based on performance. Certainly, he doesn't have the amount of innings and therefore the statistical numbers that some of the NL starters have put up over the course of the entire first half. But if you take them and extrapolate them over 9-inning starts, he's been as good as anybody, if not better. And he's going to be rested. And it's a television event. And I'll tell you this. The people are going to tune in for Paul Skenes to see Gunnar Henderson, Juan Soto, and Aaron Judge face him. That's very likely the top 3 in the American League lineup. Henderson's been sensational this year. Judge is hitting everything in sight. Soto's brilliant. Those are probably the 3 guys that Paul Skenes will see on Tuesday night in the first inning. And the eyes of the country are going to be watching. Look, this is a country that once adored baseball and put it above every sport out there. The NFL came along and took the center stage, and baseball's become more regional. Folks just watch their team and not as much the national spotlight. But every once in a while, baseball can command the country. And I do believe on Tuesday, when Paul Skenes takes the mound, everyone's going to be locked in. Certainly we will down here in Baton Rouge, but I think everybody is excited about this. Paul Skenes has wrestled the spotlight of the sport and won it. He's been incredible. It's been fascinating to me to watch people that I follow just from a Major League Baseball perspective get to know the guy that I got to know February, March of last year. And it really kind of took my attention when Jim Schlossnagle over in College Station said, "I've seen Strasburg. This guy's the best by far," he said. And that was prescient because now we look back, and it's been like 15 months since that, but he's the starter in the All-Star game for the National League. I think that is absolutely absurd. When we were on the air yesterday, Paul Skenes was carving up the Milwaukee Brewers. That's never going to bring a tear to my eye. That's just a wonderful thing to watch the Brewers struggle. And he finished 7 innings of no-hit baseball with 11 strikeouts and 1 walk. He had thrown 99 pitches, and he would lift it from the game. And a lot of people had a lot of passionate things to say about that. I know the guys on OTB this morning led with it. And Jacob's point was like, in no other sport do we ramp people up this slowly. In the NFL, like, you go play. You're not on a play count. You just go play. In the NBA, you go play. And in baseball, we treat these players with kids' gloves. And T-Bob brought up the point, well, it's really just the pitchers. And that's the case. And I'll kind of give my perspective on this whole thing with the Pirates lifting him from a potential no-hitter. And it's not a right or wrong thing. It's simply a matter of perspective. There are two of them in this case. Neither is right nor wrong. However, they're different. If you believe that the most important thing is that this is an entertainment product, you're in one camp. You're also in that camp if you believe that you need to produce history when it's right there for you. They kind of go one and one, but a no-hitter is history. It's happened more recently, more frequently than it did in a bygone era, but a no-hitter still means something. And if you think this is an entertainment game, you're struggling to get people to watch it, you've got an opportunity with a phenom in the sport to create history, therefore more entertainment, more eyeballs, more interest, more stories written, more SportsCenter highlights, more Twitter views and Instagram and TikTok stuff, then you got to leave him out there. And that's not wrong. It's just one perspective. If you think the most important thing is winning and competing for championships at the highest level, and you understand where the Pittsburgh Pirates organization ranks in this sport, which is near the flat bottom, and you understand that they can't sign this guy in free agency and he's going to be gone in 5 years, they have to do everything in their power to keep him healthy for the entirety of that rookie deal before the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Cubs or the Angels or the Red Sox come calling. There's no statistical proof, no medical proof that Paul Skenes, in one outing, deviating from his 100-pitch benchmark and going up to 126, significantly enhances the risk of Tommy John. But it certainly doesn't decrease the risk of Tommy John. And quite frankly, if Paul Skenes tears his UCL in July of 2024, he can't help until 2026. At that point, the Pirates have lost half of the service time they will have him. Half. Because they will not re-sign Paul Skenes. They did not re-sign Andrew McCutchen. They did not re-sign Garrett Cole. When you're a star in Pittsburgh, you leave. Brian Reynolds is basically the only caveat to this. And Brian Reynolds' entire contract is worth less than $100 million. Paul Skenes is going to command $300 million. Guess who's not paying $300 million? The Pirates. So this is it for them. And they've got it, and they're going to treat it with kid gloves. And their rule of thumb has been he will not start a new hitter after he crosses the 100-pitch threshold. That's the rule they've used. So you see, if you go to his game logs, he's thrown 100 here, 103 here, 102 here, but most of the time it's like 96. And that's what they're going to do. So that's the discussion. It's not right or wrong. It is what it is. Do you believe that history and entertainment should take priority? Do you believe that winning should be the most important thing, that the future of the franchise is in this guy's hand, and that's what you're going to do, and that's the decision you're going to make? There are two camps. I don't have a problem with either one. I know which one I fall in. Y'all do too. I don't care about no-hitters. I don't care about perfect games. I don't care about statistical records that may happen. Sure, it might help me turn on the television here or there, but the priority is winning. It's why I don't have any problem at all with NBA players sitting out the second of a back-to-back on a road trip, even though I know that a lot of people paid their hard-earned money to be in the arena that night, because I don't care about that Tuesday game in March. I want to win a championship. If you think the NBA players are on big contracts, the fans pay those contracts by showing up to games and watching television, they need to play, I don't think you're wrong. I just don't care about that game. I want to win a championship. And every decision that my organization makes that is in the best interest of winning a championship, I'm on board with. And you can sit here and tell me it's laughable to think that the Pittsburgh Pirates are ever going to win a championship, so who cares? And I wouldn't suggest there's a lot of data to prove you wrong. However, Kansas City got to back-to-back World Series and won one. Tampa Bay always has a good team. Billy Beane's Oakland teams were good in the early 2000s. Like, it is possible. And the Pirates have some good young players. They've got another pitcher right next to Paul Skenes, who happens to be named Jared Jones, no relation. And those guys both throw 100, and they're on rookie deals, and they're cheap, and the Pirates are going to have them for 4 or 5 years. And they've got Brian Reynolds re-signed, and they've got a couple of really exciting young players, Cruz being one. And this is their shot. I don't fault them for treating it with kid gloves. I don't have any interest in compromising, potentially, the future of the organization based on 25 extra pitches in Milwaukee in July in 2024. I know that there's no statistical proof that those extra 25 pitches are going to hurt him, but I can guarantee you he's got a better chance of getting hurt throwing those pitches than he does with ice on his elbow in the dugout. That's what I would have done. Beck, you're unaware of this entire situation. I've kind of laid out both sides of this discussion. Where do you fall on pulling Paul Skenes 100 pitches into a no-hitter with 6 outs to go?
I think I agree with you, but however, I do see the point of leaving him out there because just because there is the chance that he could get injured. I understand why people want to see him try to go out there again for another inning. Let's just say you just have you throw him back out there for the 8th inning, and the manager says to him, "Hey, look, we're going to put you back out there. If you give up a hit or a walk, we're pulling you." Like that seems like a compromise in my opinion. Like it doesn't have to be a hard and fast line. Like, okay, you can't go out there again. If you get to 100 pitches, you're done for good. If he's rolling, hasn't given up a hit, 11 strikeouts, even though his pitch count's high, just say, look, if you go out there and you give up a hit or a walk, we're pulling you. Like, to me, I don't see why there has to be a one or the other. I think you can at least compromise and give him a chance. And if he goes out there and gives him a hit or walk, you can pull him, and at least you can say you tried. Because then if he gives the hit, if the no-hitter's gone, who cares? That's
pulled
it.
him immediately.
Exactly.
I just think that you're creating a gray area and decision-making processes that they feel are unnecessary. They have drawn the line. And I can't promise you this. I think this. If they make it to the playoffs, they're not in it right now, but let's say they get hot in the second half and they get into the wild card and they get into a best 2 out of 3, and Skenes is rolling through 7 innings of shutout baseball. No-hitter aside, he's given up 3 hits, but he's shut him out through 7 innings and he's thrown 103 pitches. He will pitch the 8th in a game that means a championship is on the line. But today, July, not going to happen. That's just the way it goes, I think. Our Friday show is brought to you by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Let's talk some LSU football running backs with Preston Guy coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Boudreaux's Electric. It's all about peace of mind with Boudreaux's Electrical. They're a certified Generac dealer. They're a premier Generac dealer. That means they're in the top 3% nationwide in Generac home standby generator sales. It's hurricane season. Don't think about a generator when your hot, dark house is full of people who aren't very happy. Think about it right now. Give them a call at 985-397-1562. 985-397-1562. Neil and Melissa have been running things for 40 years down there, and they can get you fixed up right now. You can start that process. They'll come out, assess your needs. Not everybody needs the exact same generator. Square footage matters. What you need that generator to power matters. They'll get you in the one that fits your needs. It'll come with a 7 to 10 year warranty. They'll monitor it remotely, and you'll have the peace of mind of knowing when that storm comes through and everybody else loses power around you, a generator kicks on, your house is cool, your fridge and freezer work. Weather's not great, but that's okay. You're comfortable at home. Even if you have to evacuate, you want to come back to a home that's electronically powered, that's got the freeze and refrigerator running, that's got the AC cooking. That's the way you want to be. And Boudreaux's Electric can help you get there. It's BoudreauxElectrical.com, BoudreauxElectrical.com, or 985-397-1562. That's Boudreaux's Electrical.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the JimsFirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the JimsFirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Finally, the Riot Radio Hours return. Terrio's in studio. We'll send you into the weekend with a little fun. 3 to 6. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Football season unofficially kicks off on Monday. SEC Media Days from Dallas, Texas. Texas and Oklahoma part of the festivities. LSU will take its turn on Monday. Preston Guy talking about it here. He's from TigerBait.com. Joins us every Friday on the Jim's Firearms Hotline. Preston, how are you?
Hunt, you mean there's something else other than a video game coming out on Monday? That's wild, man.
It appears that way. I feel like the internet may disagree a little bit, but it appears that there will be other activities going on. I can't confirm until we get there, but that appears the way that things are trending. Is LSU going to be a top 5 rushing offense in a 16-team SEC?
I don't know about that. I wouldn't guess so because, I mean, the offensive line is certainly there, but I think this offense is really going to be predicated on passing the ball. There's a lot to be seen about the running backs as well, but I mean, I'm not saying it'd be a bad rushing offense. I just really do think that they're going to be trying to push the ball downfield. They want to get aerial in this offense.
Who's going to lead the team in carries?
Oh, boy. If it's not Caleb Jackson, that's a big disappointment. But it's hard to ignore Josh Williams and his body of work, particularly what he does when the ball is not in his hand. I would really like to see them use them more situationally. In fact, even last year, I really didn't like the way they rotated the backs based on situations and using their strength. Josh Williams is a fantastic back, but I didn't really like using him in, like, goal line situations. He's not a bigger back. So I would like it where Josh Williams is in on a lot of passing downs because not only is he a great blocker if he needs to block, but also he's a fantastic he's great at catching out of the backfield. So I would like to see, even if the snaps are split 50-50 amongst him and Caleb Jackson, I'd like to see Caleb Jackson getting handed the ball more, and I'd like to see Josh Williams used a little more technically.
Why do you think they trust Josh Williams so much?
Why do I think they like him?
They trust him.
Oh, trust him. Well, he's trustworthy. That's a big part of it. Doesn't fumble the ball very often. He is a leader. He just shows up and works quietly each and every day. He's a guy who does the thing. It cannot be understated how important it is to do the things right when the ball's not in your hand. That's the kind of thing we as fans don't notice. So the overtime touchdown where Jaden Daniels takes it in and runs against Alabama in 2022, right? Nobody talks about the block that Josh Williams threw 15 yards downfield to clear the path for Jaden Daniels. It was magnificent. Everybody talks about the run. The coaches notice that kind of stuff, and that stuff stands out. And if you're blocking and catching well and just miss a reliable back, you're going to have a spot in an SEC team. And I think he'll have a spot in the NFL. It might not be a super high draft pick, but I think there's teams who want that kind of player on their team.
Interesting. I think that's the first time I've heard someone say that Josh Williams would have a future in the National Football League. Do you think there was a trust issue with Caleb Jackson, or do you think it was just the fact that they did trust Josh Williams and of course, Logan Diggs so much more?
Oh, well, it's a trust issue, but I don't think it's a trust issue necessarily specifically against Caleb Jackson. I mean, Brian Kelly doesn't trust freshmen. He prefers to lean on the veteran experience of his team. So I don't think they were necessarily discriminating against Caleb Jackson at all. I just think it was that. In terms of what Caleb Jackson, they couldn't trust him to do, this is another thing we were talking about, using backs situationally. Caleb Jackson doesn't have as reliable hands as Josh Williams. So if you remember, what game am I thinking of? Ole Miss, there was actually a crucial third or fourth down on the final drive of the game where Jaden Daniels just hit Caleb Jackson right in between the numbers on the swing pass, and he just drops it. So that kind of stuff, that they couldn't trust him to be a complete back, that's what the problem was with Caleb Jackson last year. But as a runner, I think they trusted him just fine. It's just the fact that he's a freshman, and you had, not to mention, Hunt. Think about that backfield last year. How many veteran players did you have to rely on? That's not really the case anymore. You've got 4 scholarship backs, one of which being John Emery Jr., one of which being a true freshman, and then the other 2 are Josh Williams and Caleb Jackson.
Do you think it's reasonable to expect Caleb Jackson to improve in the receiving portion of the game? I remember that first down you're talking about vividly, and I was sitting on my couch and I went, "That's going to be a big problem." And it was.
Yeah.
They punted, or they didn't.
Well,
they did not convert whatever that drive was.
It's funny. I think you were there with me at fall camp last year when they hit him up on a similar pass, and Greg Brooks, actually of all people, caught the bobble and took it for a pick 6. That was a recurring issue. I don't know, Hunt. I don't know. It's one of those things I'd have to see it in person. I don't think Caleb Jackson's bread and butter is ever going to be receiving out of the backfield. There's just certain backs like Leonard Fournette. He did it from time to time, but that was never his bread and butter, especially here at LSU. I don't know if it will be his bread and butter. I think he's just more of a hard-nosed runner. Once he gets to full speed, he's hard to stop kind of guy.
You mentioned the veteran backfield last year was hard for Caleb Jackson to get carries. He got 31. Over under 31 carries for Caden Durham this year.
Over, because, he's at worst, he's your 4th back. I think there's a strong argument that he might even get your 3rd back reps over John Emery Jr. We'll just have to see with John Emery Jr. He's an enigma, man. He's all over the place. Sometimes it's just one of those things. You haven't been able to rely on him on or off the field. So the fact that there's not 8 scholarship running backs that you're sitting behind, it would be outstanding if Caden Durham did not get over 31 reps, especially given that, let's say you did want to redshirt him. Nowadays you do get 4 games if you want to do that.
Right, and last year LSU had Grambling, where Caleb Jackson got 11. You had and that was his high watermark for the season. But you also had Army and Georgia State. This year you have USC and UCLA, so you got one less rental win, so maybe a few less mop-up carries. But the depth chart is a little bit different as well, so we'll see. What do you expect personally from John Emery? I know you say he's an enigma. Do you think he'll be a factor?
I expect it to be the unexpected. That's the one thing I've learned from his career. You realize he caught passes from Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
Does that ever just do you ever just wake up and realize that and like think, wow, he has been here a long time? And there's always something. Now, physically, ever since 2 years ago, he came in that 2022 offseason and just looked chiseled. He didn't play the entire year. There's all sorts of stuff, hoopla. I guess 2021 is the year he didn't play. But, he's just never been able to put it all together. And I don't think talent was ever the issue for him. But, I'll give him this. If he ever does put it all together and he tightens up his carrying, because remember, he actually put himself in the doghouse against UAB for fumbling twice in a rainy game. So he's got to be more secure with the ball. He's got to be more secure with his academics and scheduling classes and making sure he stays right. When it comes to expectations for John Emery Jr., I've just given up. I'm just like, whatever he gives us, to consider it a surprise, a little lanyard, if you will.
You think this team's going to be able to run the ball when they need to?
Yes, because they probably have the best offensive line in football. I just hope that they get a more – I hope that they rotate the backs with purpose. You're not just putting a guy in there for fresh legs. Like, you need to be using these guys situationally and strategically. If it's third and short, hand it off to Caleb Jackson, please. If you're passing the ball around and you need a good blocker and catcher, use Josh Williams. If you're looking for someone to break it open with top-end speed, look to Caden Durham. That's what I'm hoping to see.
Does that make you predictable by personnel a little bit?
I mean, you can be. You have to do some things to throw them off. You do have to do some things to throw them off. But, I think when you're in 3rd and 1 on the 2-yard line or whatever, I think being predictable is part of the game.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
At a certain point, it's not about trying to outsmart your opponent. At a certain point, you got to lower your shoulder pads and hit a guy and drive him back. I mean, that's part of football. You can't just outsmart your opponent on every down.
How do you feel about LED lights in Tiger Stadium?
I do feel bad for the photographers on the sideline. That has to make their job incredibly hard. Like, I can't imagine getting the perfect shot of a touchdown celebration and the lights turn black in the middle of your shot. I would be just livid. I don't know. I've actually never seen LED lights in person on a stadium, so I'll reserve my judgment till I see them in person. But on TV, I thought they've been a little tacky.
Is there anything that piques your interest in Dallas next week, whether it's a new coach, new programs, LSU side of things? Is there anything that is interesting to you there, or is it just a necessary step towards football season?
It's a necessary step towards football season. It's great to hear from the coaches. They kind of set the tone, give you some expectations, but it's not meat and potatoes. If anything, you're probably just going to get a few memes out of it. You're going to get a few coaches taking shots here and there. You're going to create some off the field fan drama, but it's not a formal event of any minute. If anything, it brings back good memories of sitting in with Tommy Karam and the SID, prepping Leonard Fournette and those guys for SEC media days, and basically asking them the meanest questions you can imagine, just for the media to toss you up a bunch of softballs.
We shall see. It's coming whether we like it or not. Coming up on Monday from Dallas, Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, with us every single Friday. Preston, have a great weekend. Thanks, man.
All right, take it easy. See you soon.
Check them out on TigerBait.com, their YouTube channel. Mike Scarborough and Preston do a great job of covering you wall-to-wall with LSU football all year long. If you're looking for LSU football content, you can certainly find it on our YouTube page as well. Hunt on LSU is our YouTube page for this show. Just helps you take those 2-hour shows and condense it down to 12 minutes of LSU football talk. You don't have to go searching for it. It's just right there on your homepage. So subscribe to the channel. We certainly appreciate it. See a lot of folks are reacting to that Corey Raymond video that we put up earlier this week. So if you haven't seen it, go ahead and check that out on YouTube. All right, when we come back, the ESPYs last night, LSU very prevalently displayed. Also, Steve Gleason received an award. We'll talk about that coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Visit LeBear's Baton Rouge Casino this summer for exciting live sports action. We've got the biggest screens around, and ESPN Bet is live in Louisiana. Plus, Pin Play Rewards members can win up to $500 in pin cash every single week. So visit pinplaysports.com/cover5 today and register for your chance to play and win. If you're not a member, get the Pin Play app today. LeBare's Baton Rouge Casino, your live sports headquarters. Bring your crew for all the action. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 877-770-STOP.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
BRAC teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. BRAC, your #1 park system in the nation.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 7.
Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Finally, the Riot Radio Hours return. Terrio's in studio. We'll send you into the weekend with a little fun. 3 to 6. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
So the ESPYs were last night. I did not watch. I was calling the Baton Rouge Rougarou game. Rougarou did not get it done last night. The Victoria Generals victorious over at Pete Goolsby Field, but back in action this evening. So did not get a chance to watch the ESPYs. I'm told Serena's Open was okay. There were some hits and some misses there, as you might expect from a professional athlete turned comedian in that situation. But LSU heavily represented there. Haley Bryant was a nominee. Jaden Daniels won Outstanding Collegiate Athlete of the Year. Of course, Libby Dunn was there as well. Flau'jae performed. So a lot of LSU flavor there. And one guy mentioned LSU that we don't necessarily associate with LSU too much these days, but I get a feeling that may change a little bit over the course of the next few years. That was Nick Saban, who was up there and gave a speech, and he told a little story about Tiger Stadium.
Because sports bring people together better than anything. You know, when we won the national championship in 2003 at LSU, I had Jesse Jackson came in and speak to the team. And he said to me, he said, your team on a Saturday night in Tiger Stadium is closer to the kingdom of God than my church. I said, Jesse, you ever been in LSU Stadium on a Saturday night? You can smell the bourbon on the 50-yard line. And he said, no. He said, everybody has the same goal. The rules are clearly defined, and everybody's together in spirit.
It's an interesting story, and there's a distinct smell inside Tiger Stadium when you walk in there. There's a little sweat mixed in, little bourbon mixed in as well. But it's magic in there, and Nick, I thought, delivered that pretty nicely, talking about Jesse Jackson. But out of all that LSU-centric talk at the ESPYs last night, I thought the most important piece to the puzzle here as far as Louisiana goes was Steve Gleason receiving the Arthur Ashe Courage Award. And we all are very, very familiar with Steve Gleason's story. Jeff Duncan came on a couple of weeks ago when this was announced and spoke about the process of writing that book with Steve, and you can find that book online or local bookstores. They've got that, and Jeff and Steve did a fantastic job of kind of documenting that journey. And Jeff's been there really the entirety of that time. He was covering the Saints when Steve Gleason played for the Saints and then got the diagnosis and has seen what Steve Gleason has meant to not only the state of Louisiana, state of New Orleans, but all of those who are battling ALS. And we knew that it would be a powerful speech from Steve Gleason, and I found it especially so. He made a quick joke at the beginning about how he always enjoyed when he could put on his tuxedo, and then went on to kind of speak about his journey and his battle. And since the diagnosis, they gave him 3 years to live. He's now knocking on the door of 15 at this point. And that's 5x of what the expectation was. And his fight continues and continues, and it's not just a fight for the cure to ALS or to fight ALS. It's also to champion those who are fighting the cause and to be an inspiration to those that are dealing with ALS, whether they have the diagnosis or it's a family member or a friend or a loved one that is fighting that battle. He's also fighting for his kids that he's raising right now from a wheelchair. And it was just incredibly powerful to hear him talk. And I thought the one thing that he brought up that it kind of hit home for me, because I can't relate to someone who has ALS or is fighting that kind of a battle, or someone that can't talk or is bound to a wheelchair. He said, every single person is dealing with adversity. Every single person is dealing with fear. Like no one is immune from that. And as an able-bodied person to sit here today, that's true. And it's not something that I hear every single day, but I thought the most impactful thing that he said in his 4-minute speech. And we talked about this 2 weeks ago, but I think I'll bring it up again just because I think it's the most important thing here. Some people are faithful people. Some people are not. Some people would suggest that everything happens for a reason. Some people wouldn't. And whether or not you fall on one side of the fence or the other on that, the fact of the matter is that Steve Gleason did make one of the most memorable plays in the history of American sport. One of the greatest plays in the history of this state, one that's been immortalized with a statue outside of the Superdome. And if he doesn't make that play, he's just a special teams guy. He's just JT Gray. And I don't mean to diminish JT Gray's impact on the New Orleans Saints, because it's a vital piece to the game. Nobody knows that better than Jacob Hester, who sits here for 3 hours every single morning. Special teams are a huge part to the game that we forget all the time, but that's just it. We forget about it a lot because they're not scoring touchdowns all that often. They're not winning awards. They're not highlight reel players. They go down and make tackles at the 28-yard line. And that's what Steve Gleason was, but he makes that play in that moment on that night in the Superdome. And because of that, he becomes a sensation overnight. And then this horrible situation arises. And I just can't help but think, man, if that doesn't happen, Steve Gleason's name is not powerful enough to create the impact that he has had on the fight against ALS. And to create a moment like last night where he can address the nation and bring more attention to this horrendous disease. And whether or not you believe that's divine intervention or things happen for a reason or pure coincidence. It is. It has happened. And to take such an awful circumstance and to create so much good from it is amazing. I personally, as I sit here today, cannot imagine waking up every single day with no ability to move or talk. Now, they've got incredible technology that allows him to use his eyes to speak through technology. But to wake up with that realization every day is not only a physical thing, it's more so a mental thing at this point. You are trapped in your own body. There are so many awful diseases and afflictions and all kinds of things that happen to people. And this one seems such a difficult thing. And I'm sure that Steve Gleason has his bad days and his bad hours and his bad minutes and his bad moments. But to put on a public-facing face that is so strong, so fierce, so relentless, year after year after year, after you were given 3 months to live, is just incredible. And I just don't know that it all happens this way if he doesn't block that punt. And sports are really important to me. Like, I spend almost all of my personal free time on sports, whether it's playing golf or watching sports or going down YouTube rabbit holes or reading Twitter about sports. Sports are important to me, and I care who wins and loses. But I also have an understanding that it is just a game, and life goes on whether or not you win or you lose. But sometimes sports transcends the playing surface, the field, the court, the rink, the track, course. Sometimes sports can create incredible things. And while this is ultimately a tragedy that Steve Gleason was stricken with this disease, like, his story is so powerful and his fundraising has been so impactful that this is sports doing something incredible, and Steve Gleason deserves so much credit for that. So I'm thrilled that the ESPYs decided that he was worthy of that award and decided that this is the year to bestow it upon him. I thought his speech was incredible last night. You can find it on YouTube. It's fairly short. And it's just a reminder that while it is a game, and while there are a lot of people out there that don't care about sports and think people like me and like a lot of you are nuts for being as passionate as we are about sports, every once in a while something like this comes from it. It's the people inside the sports that can make that happen. Really, really cool. And an incredible night for Team Gleason last night. Drew Brees in attendance, Steve's family there, and the speech that he gave was awesome, awesome stuff. So highly, highly recommend you go check that out if you missed it last night. Steve Gleason, the Arthur Ashe Courage Award winner for 2024 at the ESPYs. We'll come back and close out hour number 1 next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Tell you about Robbie Bolton and his team every single day over at Evolve Physical Therapy. Robbie told me this one time: once I see you once, I will see you forever. That's the kind of relationship he builds with his patients, and that's the kind of experience you're going to have if you go to Evolve Physical Therapy. Far too often, physical therapy experiences are not that great because they're not all that hands-on, maybe not all that effective, and frustrating, quite frankly, because if you're someone going through physical therapy, you're looking to make improvements and get back to the life that you once lived before you were injured playing sports, before you were injured in that car accident, before you slept wrong and had all those pains. Robbie Bolton and his team understand that, and they're going to be hands-on in helping you get back to your active lifestyle as quickly as possible. Nobody's too young. Nobody's too old. Youth athletes, youth gymnasts, you've been injured, want to get back to it, Robbie Bolton can help. Older folks trying to get back on the pickleball court, back on the tennis court, back on the golf course, or just back to feeling normal, Robbie Bolton and his team can do it. It's soft tissue manipulation, dry needling, cupping, scraping, isokinetic testing. They do it all. Robbie's worked with professional athletes like Austin Knoll, like Kevin Gosman. They've used their bodies to make millions of dollars. Pretty important. They're feeling pretty good. If they feel like Robbie Bolton's the guy for them, it feels like you can make that call as well. They're online at evolvept.com. They're on Starring near Highland Road. Robbie's been doing this almost 20 years as a physical therapist. If you're looking for physical therapy in Baton Rouge, Evolve Physical Therapy is the clinic in town. Evolve Physical Therapy, evolvept.com.
Get the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge app powered by Bayou Ford and tap the microphone icon to send us your thoughts in an audio message. Your message could be played on air during Off the Bench with Esther and T-Bob, The Hunt Palmer Show, and after further review with Matt Moscone.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off F-150. $10,000 off the new 2024 Ford F-150. And all new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou.
Matt Moscone inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Finally, the Riot Radio Hours return. Terrio's in studio. We'll send you into the weekend with a little fun. 3 to 6. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Shout out to the folks over at Corks, Medinka Boys. Fantastic stuff over there, Government Street between Foster and Jefferson. You're looking to do some catering, they can make that happen for you. You can get a pan of 25 crispy fried catfish, 50 jumbo Gulf shrimp. They can do 10 pork chops for you. They got country coleslaw, pan of fries, hush puppies, honey butter roll, and they got all your sauces over there at Corks. The Cork sauce, which is fantastic. They've got your classics, tartar sauce, cocktail sauce, remoulade, ketchup as well. How about this? If you're a family of 4, you can feed the family for $55 over at Corks with the big haul. Family of 4, $50. That's a pretty good deal. They get you 10 fish, 30 shrimp, a 16-ounce coleslaw, large box of fries, 8 hush puppies, and 5 rolls for $54.95. That's the big haul. If you're a Hester-sized family, you're probably going to need 2 big hauls. But if you're a traditional family of 4, big haul probably awesome for you. Check out the website, corksfishandshrimp.com. They bring you our Friday shows each and every week. You know, we spent a lot of time yesterday and the top of the show today talking about Paul Skenes, and he is all the rage. Paul Skenes, quite good. He'll be starting the All-Star game for the National League if you missed that yesterday and earlier today, I guess it was. But it wasn't just Paul Skenes in former purple and gold pitcher land yesterday that was throwing awesome. Now, Skenes threw 7 shutout innings with 11 strikeouts and 1 walk, but Aaron Nola and Kevin Gausman were pretty good as well. Those 3 yesterday combined to throw 20 innings of 3-run baseball with 23 strikeouts and 3 walks. There was a time back in the 90s where LSU had Mike Sorotka and Chad Ojay, and Ben McDonald was in the league as well. And there were a number of guys from those early 90s teams that made it up to the big leagues and were really good pitchers. But right now, LSU's got 3 guys that are going awesome. I had a chance to talk with Kevin Gausman at the Running Rants fundraiser back in January that was benefiting the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. And he was there. A lot of baseball guys were there. It was a night of champions. Mike Bianco, Skip Bertman, Jay Johnson, Paul Maneri, a bunch of folks were there. And a lot of former LSU players were there. Bregman was there. Andrew Stevenson was there. Antoine Duplantis was there. And Gausman was there. And I covered the team day to day back at Bayou Bengals Insider when Kevin Gausman was on the team. And I got to talking with him. And I was surprised he even recognized who I was. But he's a great guy. And we were chatting there next to the bar. And I was like, how you feel? And he goes, I feel real old. I get that. He's a very, very young man. But he was feeling very old. He actually he turned 21 back in 2012. So you're looking at a guy who's 33 years old or so and feels old. He's been throwing the baseball for a very, very long time, but he's still very, very good. I was chatting with him about the fact that he was able to kind of resurrect his career. It was real bumpy early on when he got up with Baltimore, and he wasn't great. But he found that splitter, and he's done well in Atlanta, did well in San Francisco, and he's had a really nice go there in Toronto, and then Aaron's just been good the entire time. Aaron's up to 11-3 now on the season, ERA hovering around 3. He's been I thought he was a snub for the All-Star game, quite frankly, but the Phillies have a lot of guys that they're sending to the All-Star game because they've been so good this year. But Skenes is kind of getting all the love when Nola and Gausman are throwing it great, and you consider those 3 guys in recent memory. I know that UCLA has certainly got Trevor Bauer and Garrett Cole who have won Cy Youngs and been great, and then Adam Plutko was a solid pitcher from UCLA, and I'm sure you could find a few more in Major League Baseball at the moment. And Florida's had a good run of sending guys to the big leagues. Certainly, Vanderbilt sent a bunch of guys to the MLB. It was kind of David Price kind of kicked that off, and you had certainly a lot of really good arms coming out of there. With you got Walker Buehler and Sonny Gray, and they've had some really good ones. For LSU right now to boast those 3 guys in the big leagues, the way that they're throwing it at certainly different stages of their career, Gausman's got a lot more in the rearview mirror than he does ahead, and Skenes has barely any in the rearview mirror, and he's going to start the All-Star game this year. But those 3 guys going on the same day for one school, throwing 20 innings of 3-run baseball with 23 strikeouts and 3 walks is pretty special stuff. And I think sometimes when that guy moves on, when Gausman moves on, you're like, all right, well, who's going to take over? And then Nola moves on, and who's going to take over? And then Lang moves on, and who's going to take over? And inevitably, it feels like LSU kind of finds the next guy. And it seems difficult at the time to replace that guy, and I don't know that LSU is going to, quote-unquote, replace Paul Skenes anytime soon, because that's probably the best we've ever seen, if not certainly the best we've ever seen. I'm hopeful that there's another guy coming along that goes out there on game ones and just dominates for LSU. We've seen it kind of across the league, and where's the next Hagen Smith for Arkansas? I guess we'll have to see. And I guess that's where I'm going with my next segment. If you're hanging out and you're going to be with us here in 6 minutes, I'm going to go deep into this Major League Baseball draft. The draft starts on Sunday. It'll be the first 2 rounds and the comp rounds, rounds 3 through 10 on Monday, rounds 11 through 20 on Tuesday. And I've got some thoughts on what LSU's signing class, what LSU's current roster, and what LSU's transfer portal class look like in relation to the draft, and my predictions on what's going to happen Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. I did some digging, made a few calls, and I've got a pretty good handle. I learned some things that I didn't quite expect to hear, and I'm going to give you as much as I can coming up at the top of hour number 2. It'll be lengthy because there's a lot of stuff to get into. It may take 2 seconds, but we'll get it done. So if you're curious about what LSU's baseball roster is up against with the Major League Baseball draft coming up this weekend, I will get you covered on all of that coming up at the top of hour number 2. If you missed hour number 1, well, you can catch that on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab. All of our shows are archived there each and every day. Starts with OTB, Live at Lunch, Hunt Palmer Show, AFR. They're all there on 1045ESPN. ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you find your podcast, you can find us, and certainly you can on YouTube as well. Open the show talking about Paul Skenes and whether or not it was the right call to remove him from the game, plus the honor that he's gotten to start the All-Star game. Preston Guy was with us at 1:15 talking LSU running backs. What does he expect from that group? Who's going to get what share of the carries? And will LSU be able to run the ball when they need to? You can find that as well. And then my thoughts on Steve Gleason receiving an FB at the bottom of hour number 1. We're going to step aside. When we come back, as I mentioned, MLB Draft Preview, the Friday edition presented by Corks, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $20,000 off new 23 Ram 1500 trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $20,000 off the powerful Ram truck. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. It's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Pirates rookie right-hander Paul Skenes will start the All-Star game for the National League on Tuesday night. Skenes is 6-0 with a 1.9 ERA. In his 11th Major League start yesterday, he threw 7 no-hit innings and struck out 11 in a win over the Brewers. The trade deadline just over 2 weeks away. ESPN's Buster Olney says the Yankees are desperately in need at multiple positions, including the bullpen and the infield.
They've been waiting and waiting and waiting for Gleyber Torres to hit. It just hasn't happened. They have to get more offense out of third base. They could use another outfielder, perhaps. Brian Cashman is going to be under the gun to make big deals, because this might be the only year they have Juan Soto batting back-to-back with Aaron Judge, and they got to upgrade the team.
Buster Olney on Get Up. At Wimbledon today, Novak Djokovic and Carlos Alcaraz advanced to Sunday's men's final. Tomorrow, it's the women's final. Barbara Krejcikova against Jasmine Paolini. Coverage starts with breakfast at Wimbledon at 8 a.m. Eastern on ESPN.
Here's one stat that's super simple to remember. Discover automatically doubles the cash back on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cashback Match. With Discover, you could turn $150 cash back to $300. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I direct your attention to something quite extraordinary?
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show. The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios. This is Hunt Palmer.
Hour number 2, Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Just 1 hour left to go in the week for me. Sounds like Jacob Beck and Cassie Spazzali have 3 hours with AFR coming up.
We do.
1 hour from right now. I don't. I won't be here very long after 3 o'clock.
Must be nice.
It is. It's very nice. I feel good about it. But not too long ago, y'all were heading out of town, and I was handling.
That's true. However, it's no one's fault but your own that you haven't had a vacation.
That is true. That is certainly my fault, and I don't have a remedy in mind anytime soon. So we're just going to keep showing up at 8 o'clock every morning.
Company man.
That's me. Putting in the hours. You hear that, Flynn Foster? Huge raise coming up on Monday. Probably not. All right. There's going to be some people that get a lot of money coming up starting on Sunday and Monday. The Major League Baseball draft cranks up as part of All-Star Weekend on Sunday. First off, I feel the need to do this every year. There are a lot of you that understand exactly how this process works, and this will be a boring 2 minutes. There are a lot of you who need a refresher every single year. Yes, the draft is slotted, but that doesn't mean you get that exact amount of money if you're that pick. This is the most important thing for LSU fans who don't care where players get drafted. It just matters of whether they're going to play for LSU or not. If you are selected in the first 10 rounds of the Major League Baseball draft, 99.8% of the time, that contract is going to get signed. You are not drafted with the expectation that you will sign. You are drafted because you've agreed on a number. It's not a deal of we'll draft him here and we'll figure out the number. You've agreed to terms to a contract if you were drafted in the first 10 rounds. If you are drafted in the first 10 rounds and do not sign with the big league team that drafts you, they lose that money from their draft pool. So it is not in their best interest to not sign you. In fact, it is the opposite. So any player drafted in the first 10 rounds is not going to play for LSU next year. I can say that with almost certainty. Now, sometimes there's a Kumar Rocker, and he's drafted in the first round, and the Mets take his medical, and it's bad, and they offer him a lowball number because they don't want the trouble, and he doesn't sign. He ends up going to play independent ball. It's very, very rare. First 10 rounds, they're going. So with that understanding, Sunday's rounds 1 and 2. Monday is rounds 3 through 10. That is the meat of this thing. Certainly people can sign drafted in 11 through 20, but it is far less certain at that point. So, here's the deal. Here's what I know. I made some phone calls. I've done a little digging. I'm not here to be an investigative reporter very often, but this is one of the things that I can dig into a little bit with some of the people that I know, and I can tell you kind of what the feeling is. And keep in mind, I'm wrong about this stuff every year because the draft is fickle that way. Things happen in the span of 5 minutes that change stuff. Players slip. And organizations that were going to take one guy take another, money change. Like there's just, it can happen in the course of 2 minutes. that, oh, we didn't think this guy was going to be here. We'll offer him more money than it's a fickle thing. It's an inexact science at this point to preview it, but I'll give you everything I know and just to kind of set your expectations in level with mine. Connor Griffin and Cam Caminiti will go on Sunday in the first 15 picks, I think. They're not coming to LSU. You already knew that. There are 74 picks on Sunday. Tommy White will be in those first 74. I think he'll be between 20 and 25. I believe William Schmidt will be picked on Sunday. And I think if I'm going to be try to be specific and give kind of a bold prediction, I think he's going to go between picks 36 and 39. Now, I know there are a lot of you saying, well, that's not even in the first round. Like, I thought he needed to be a first-round pick. He's a lifelong LSU fan, Catholic high, right down the street. He can follow in Aaron Nola and Josh Smith's footsteps. And there's a piece of that. But it's going to take a lot of money to get William Schmidt, I believe. But the teams that have a lot of money pick in that compensatory round. The teams at the top of the draft have the biggest pool of money to pay their players that they draft. So Cleveland has the biggest draft pool. Colorado has the second biggest draft pool. Kansas City has the fourth biggest draft pool. And Pittsburgh has the seventh biggest draft pool. They're all top 7, and they pick 36 to 39. One of those teams, in my opinion, will take a cheaper player early in the draft, whether it's a high school that'll take less or a college player who's agreed to less to be picked higher, and they'll save some money there and loop it back around to give William Schmidt more. I think William Schmidt goes between picks 36 and 39. I believe he goes on Sunday, and I believe he will sign a professional contract. Did you notice how many players LSU took in the transfer portal? They knew this was coming. LSU is going to get hit hard in this draft, y'all. I just want you to be prepared for that. And I think holding out hope from William Schmidt at this point is a little bit much. Yesterday I did a segment talking about him, how he wasn't in the Athletics' first mock draft and how Keith Law said it might be hard to pry him away. I'd be stunned if he goes to LSU, y'all. Stunned. There's just going to be too much money there. I believe Luke Holman and Gage Jump will go in round 2 on Sunday, probably in the first 60 picks, maybe 65 picks. I also think one of LSU's other signees will come off the board in the second round, and I believe he will sign. That is Boston Bateman. Big left-handed pitcher, 6'8", 240 from California. I think he's a top 60 pick. The expectation within LSU's baseball program is that they would be surprised if he came to campus. That's the top 4 in your signing class that you don't expect to get. Connor Griffin, Cam Caminiti, Boston Bateman, William Schmidt. I think those guys are going to sign. And I think that's going to be the Sunday haul from LSU. Griffin, Caminiti, Schmidt, White, Holman, Jump, Bateman. I think that's the first 2 rounds in compensatory rounds from LSU's baseball program. That means all eyes on Monday in that projection, and we'll talk about this on Monday's show. Go to Griffin Herring, go to Jared Jones, go to Connor Ware, Luke Hayden, Mikey Ryan, Cale Fountain, Maverick Rizzi, Cade Arambidi, Kason Evans, Derek Curiel, even though he's out of the draft. That's where the meat of this thing falls. Yes, I want William Schmidt. Yes, I want Boston Bateman. But the margins is where this thing swings one way or another. That's when you end up with Chase Shores. You end up with Alex Bregman. You end up with Dylan Cruz. And more so, you end up with Stephen Milam. That's the kind of guy we're talking about here. You end up with Greg Dykman. So Sunday, these are the guys to watch, and I believe that Monday, these are the guys to watch. I believe Griffin Herring will be drafted and signed. I believe Luke Hayden from Indiana State will be drafted and signed. I believe Connor Ware, junior college left-hander, will be drafted and signed. And I believe Mikey Ryan, the shortstop from Rummel, will be drafted and signed. So those that aren't familiar with some of those, obviously you are with Herring. Obviously you are, the other 2. Luke Hayden, I think, will be drafted and signed. That's the expectation. I think Connor Ware will be drafted and signed. That's the expectation. I don't know if it's 50-50 there. And Mikey Ryan as well. And in that scenario, here's what I think LSU keeps from this draft. And it sounds terrible. Oh, my gosh. You lose Griffin. You lose Caminiti. You lose William Schmidt. You lose Boston Bateman. You lose Griffin Herring, Connor Ware, Luke Hayden, Mikey Ryan. This is unbelievable how much you've lost. But keep in mind, if that is the way this plays out, I usually don't get it 100% right. In that scenario, you keep Jared Jones, which I think is a real possibility. You keep Cade Arambidi, who Keith Law had 100th on his big board, catching prospect with big power and a cannon for an arm. You keep Maverick Rizzi, who's 6'9", right-handed pitcher, throws really hard. You keep Cale Fountain, power-hitting third base product out of Nebraska, the all-time Nebraska high school home run leader. You keep Kason Evans, right-handed pitcher. You keep Derek Curiel, at one time the number one player in the country for this draft class. That's a big haul if you're able to keep those guys. And then all of a sudden, if you put Jared Jones at first base and you have the opportunity to insert Cade Arambidi behind the plate potentially, and you can keep Maverick Rizzi and Cale Fountain available in Kason Evans, that's a good haul for this signing class. And you pair it with that transfer portal class, and then you look inward at some of the other guys. I did not mention Michael Braswell. I did not mention Fidel Ulloa here. I think those guys are Tuesday picks, and it's 50-50 if they want to play college baseball anymore or not. But keep in mind, that sounds awful on the front end of how many guys you would lose to the draft. LSU has taken in a ton of transfers for a reason. I was told this morning that the staff decided before the season ended, in some of the meetings that you have, that they were going to prepare to not have Jared Jones, not have Griffin Herring, not have Michael Braswell, not have Fidel Ulloa. They knew that some of these guys who were draft eligible, not just the transfers who left, the draft eligible guys, let's prepare as if we're not going to have them. If you have them, great, you make it work. The 11.7 is not as difficult because of NIL these days, and they were going to prepare to not have them. If you do, that's a bonus. And that's the way they've prepared. Look how many transfers they took. And they took them at some of the positions those guys play. So that's my prediction for this class. We'll talk about it more on Monday. We'll talk about it more on Tuesday, and we'll have definitive answers on Wednesday as we spend the majority of the show on SEC Media Days, but do keep an eye on the draft. My prediction, Connor Griffin's gone, Cam Kennedi's gone, William Schmidt's gone, Boston Bateman's gone, Connor Ware's gone, Mikey Ryan's gone. That's the high school signing class. I predict Luke Hayden signs from the transfer portal class. I believe Griffin Herring signs from the team. And then I think you get back Jared Jones, Cade Arambidi, Maverick Rizzi, Cale Fountain, Kason Evans, and Derek Curiel. That's the way I see it as we sit here on Friday. Keep in mind, I've been wrong on this, and we'll gladly admit it when we get to it. But we're here for predictions, and I'm here to maybe alter your expectations a little bit based on some information that I've gotten over the last 24 hours. So that's my story. I'll stick right to it there with LSU baseball. I am fascinated to see how this goes Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week, and we'll certainly be talking about all of it. Our Friday show is brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. What do we got when we come back? What do we got? We got, interesting quotes. Very interesting quotes from Bryce Underwood and Harlem Berry, the two most highly coveted signees or commitments in this LSU recruiting class of 2025. And they were on the record, and I thought said something that were very, very interesting that I've kind of echoed over the years, but it's way more impactful coming from those two guys. We'll talk about it next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
Audio Video Security Solutions, avssla.com. If you spend a lot of time outside, whether it's by a pool, you've got a cooking area, you got kiddos that love to play outside, you just enjoy being out in the backyard, crank some tunes out there. We love to do that at the Palmer House, and it's really, really easy. The folks at Audio Video Security Solutions can help you with it. Myers Man loves to be in the backyard, loves to play t-ball, got a swing set out there that he loves to slide down, really loves to slide the monster trucks down the slide. That's really what goes on the majority of the time on the swing set. But all the while, I'm either listening to a podcast, I'm listening to tunes, and I've got it all controlled by an app that I can put right there in my pocket, and I control the volume, change the channel. I even listened to a Cubs game out there a little bit earlier this summer. It's been fantastic, and that's all because of the folks at Audio Video Security Solutions. Mitchell Fisher and his team, fantastic people, and they do fantastic work. You can contact Mitchell via his cell phone, 225-439-7920. In fact, my wife did that because we had an alarm issue this week. She called him on his cell phone. He stopped by the house yesterday, checked it out, explained everything that was going on with this detector that he installed in his team. Everything was good, and he went on his way. That's the kind of customer service we certainly appreciate and that you can expect with the folks at Audio Video Security Solutions. Check them out on Instagram, AVSS_BR. Certainly online, avssla.com. It's Audio Video Security Solutions.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Rev Business is here to connect your company beyond your storefront. We're here to power your passion, improve your communication, and link you to your customers with the services you need and the local support you deserve. Backed by our commitment to 5-star reliability. For a limited time, get internet plus 2 hosted phone lines for only $133. A powerful combination at a great price. Visit letsrev.biz. Rev Business.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Finally, the Riot Radio Hours return. Terry O's in studio. We'll send you into the weekend with a little fun. 3 to 6. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Harris Construction and Roofing brings you live coverage of the 2024 SEC Football Media Day starting next Monday, July 15th through Thursday, July 18th. Find highlights from the week on the 104.5 ESPN YouTube channel. Our coverage is also brought to you locally by Rev Business and Relief Windows.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
Earlier this week, I did a segment on defensive back recruiting. You can find it on YouTube. Hunt on LSU talks about Corey Raymond and LSU's pursuit of Jabari Antoine and Pickett and the DBs that they're pursuing. And there are some in the recruiting industry that don't think LSU is going to to land either of those defensive backs, and we'll find out here over the next few weeks. And that's created a little bit of tension in LSU internet world. And I talked about that and kind of talked about the process of recruiting and how I just have a hard time bashing coaches based on one or two guys. If it's a 3-year problem, well, we've got a big problem. If it's a 3-guy problem, that may be individual circumstances. And I brought up the point that was made by Rick Neuheisel that Phil Knight is spending unprecedented and quote-unquote unlimited amounts of NIL money up at Oregon, and potentially could LSU lose some guys to Oregon because they can't keep up financially. And there's some things that are almost universally true in internet land, certainly message board land, Twitter land. And one of them is when your school is pursuing a player in the recruiting ranks and you don't get him, immediately 20 responses come in with, oh, they paid him more. Oh, they paid him. They bought him. In the old days, 5-10 years ago, it was, oh, they paid for him. They bought him. Now it's, oh, we can't keep up NIL, all NIL. And that's just the natural reaction when 99% of the time the fan has no idea what exactly happened. And I'm not pretending to know that I know how much Oregon's paying NIL money, or I know that defensive backs are choosing Oregon because of NIL money. I just tied the two scenarios together, folks recruiting and committing to Oregon and Rick Neuheisel making that comment. So I'm aware of what I said earlier this week. But I do think that there are plenty of players who aren't simply looking for the biggest dollar figure. There are plenty that are. There are plenty that aren't. We talked about earlier this summer, the folks at On3 had a lot of elite level prospects up for a week, and I believe it was Nashville. And they did a poll that was anonymous. Did you choose your school based on the highest NIL offer? Were there schools that you didn't pick that gave you higher NIL offers? And like over 50% said I didn't pick the school based solely on NIL. And over 50% said they got higher offers from other schools than they took. And I think that's true sometimes. Sometimes they want every percent they can get, and I can't fault them for that. Sometimes there are other factors. And I think as an LSU fan, you should sleep a little bit better at night about the two highest ranked recruits in the 2025 signing class at LSU, because I'm reading from an On3 report that was published by Pete Nakos, and he gave direct quotes from Bryce Underwood and Harlem Berry. This is Harlem Berry, number 1 running back in the country, right there in New Orleans, has never taken an official visit anywhere other than LSU, and has been committed to LSU for months. Says, people think we don't give what people deserve, but really and truly, you get what you deserve. You really shouldn't be focused on money. You're just trying to ball when you go to LSU. That's the main goal, just being a team player. You want to win a natty with your boys. For those that don't like NIL and want guys that want to play for Old State U and want guys that want to be a part of a team and want to be in purple and gold and don't have any interest in testing the market and seeing what else is out there, this is your guy. Right or wrong, some people love NIL, get all the money you can get. Some people think it's terrible. If you're one of the folks that said, I hate NIL, Harlem Berry's your dude. Not testing the open market, doesn't care how much money Oregon has, Bama has, Georgia has, Ohio State has, Texas has. I want to ball. I want to go win championships with my boys at LSU. He's your guy. He's not a unicorn. That's just how he thinks. And his classmate in this 2025 class is Bryce Underwood. Think he could make some cash? Probably is making some cash. Think he could make more? Probably. But he said, and this is a direct quote, it's mainly about what I'm trying to get to. My main goal is the NFL, first draft pick. Money is going to be the last thing I'm thinking about until I get to the league. Just keep the main thing the main thing. Now, you could read that as he's using LSU as a stepping stone to the NFL, and all he cares about is getting to the league. Or you could say, this is a guy who picked a college based on his relationship with the coaching staff, potential NIL offer that they gave, fit, with the campus and that he enjoyed his time there, likes the players that are in his signing class, likes the development of the quarterbacks that have come before him, and the product of all of that will be the league, and he'll worry about money when he makes that second contract that Joe Burrow just got. But either way, I promise, not all these guys are money-hungry mercenaries. That does happen, but they're not all. And the cynicism that surrounds all this stuff, I wouldn't say it bothers me. It's just like, I just don't agree. And if you're one of those folks that immediately jumps to the keyboard every time LSU doesn't sign a guy and says, bam, NIL, we're screwed. This kid sucks. What a jerk. They're not all like that. There are plenty of guys that don't commit to LSU that feel this way about the school they committed to. And I know, again, to reiterate what I said at the top, I get that I said earlier this week that potentially Corey Raymond could form a great relationship and LSU could lose a player because of NIL money. But I said that based on some evidence of the player, the exact player I was talking about, saying my relationship with Coach Raymond is like none other. And the other quote that was Rick Neuheisel, who has some pretty reasonable contacts in the college football world, specifically on the West Coast, saying it's pretty well known that Phil Knight's throwing out unlimited NIL money. I'm just tying the two together. Not just immediately jumping to it every single time a player doesn't commit to LSU. So this segment kind of goes both ways. One, don't go nuts every time somebody doesn't pick LSU, but know that there are some that will, that are buying into Brian Kelly's graduate champions theory. And again, please don't suggest that I'm naive enough to think that LSU's not giving any of these guys NIL dollars through the collective. Quite the opposite. The collective just announced this week that they're ramping up fundraising. It's not to go on trips to Cabo. It's to keep players at LSU and to get them here. I get it. But it's not everything to every recruit. I promise. There's too much evidence to the contrary. Bryce Underwood, Harlan Berry, pretty good two dudes to have at the front of your signing class for your LSU as examples to some guys and as high-level, high-visibility prospects that could attract more to come into this class of 2025 that we all think is going to be top 5 signing class in the country once it's all said and done. If you're looking for LSU football content, Hunt on LSU on YouTube is where you can certainly find it each and every day. When we come back, more LSU football. Joe Sloan, LSU offensive coordinator, was with the boys from OTB this morning, had some interesting things to say. We'll kind of pick them apart coming up next.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. I know a lot of you locked in really good interest rates a couple of years ago. Not in a hurry to move and pay 6% when you got 2 1/4 right now, 2 3/4. Well, then don't move, but change your living situation for the better with the folks at One Bath and Closets. Total bathroom remodel and redesign. All you got to do is make one call. Soup to nuts. The entire process done by David Duvall and his team at One Bath and Closets. It starts with a free consultation, a questionnaire, a discussion, and it ends with the bathroom of your dreams. And David Duvall and his team promise they're going to do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. They won't cut some corners, get it done, so then get to the next job. Come back in 2 weeks and maybe patch some holes that need to be patched. They're going to do it right the first time and leave that competition behind. They've got financing options available and $1,000 off if you tell them the Hunt Palmer Show sent you. That's cost effective. $1,000 off, free consultation, financing available. You can make this happen if need be. Go to onebathandclosets.com. Give David Duvall a call. It's One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to...
Skenes inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Finally, the Riot Radio Hours return. Terrio's in studio. We'll send you into the weekend with a little fun. 3 to 6. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
You're going to hear a lot from coaches across the SEC Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. A lot of it'll be not all that entertaining, but hopefully some of it is. I remember a little bit of spiciness when I was in Hoover for SEC Media Days. Dan Mullen and Houston Nutt got into it a little bit indirectly. Dan Mullen said some things, and Houston Nutt was asked about them, and they had to go back and forth, not at each other, but to the press at different times, and that can be fun. You know, Steve Spurrier had a lot of fun. Les was always good for a zing or two.
I'm sure Lane's going to say something.
Yeah, he probably will. Although Saban's not there, that's the bear he likes to poke the most, and he and Jimbo were feuding, and now Jimbo's not there either. My favorite, I'm drawing a blank on who it was. My favorite was Brett Bielema. Bielema never took anything too seriously. He always had some kind of comment to say that was humorous. I enjoyed Brett Bielema a lot at SEC Media
Not a great
Days.
coach.
No, I think he's a really good. I think he is a good coach. I think he did a great job at Wisconsin, where you can do things. Trying to play bully ball with Nick Saban and Les Miles,
just didn't fit Arkansas.
It's just not going to work in that division. You're trying to. You're not going to be able to get the horses. They could do it at Wisconsin. They couldn't do it there, and I think he's done fine at Illinois. And now it's a different era with different rules with NIL and transfer portal and stuff. But like they were pretty good in years like 3 and 4.
Yeah,
they took them a while to win one, and they finally won one against LSU. It was their first win, and then they got to where they could run the ball. They blew Texas out in a bowl game, and they were decent. But I enjoyed him. I think if there was one guy the last 15 years as a coach that I'd want to grab a couple beers with on the boat, it might be Brett Bielema. Although Arkansas's got a pretty good track record of that. Sam Pittman's not too far behind on that.
Yeah, he's not bad
as well. And then you've got some real guys that I don't care to listen to at all. I don't care to listen to anything Kirby Smart has to say.
Not Clark Lee.
Boring. No, don't care about that. Mark Stoops does nothing for me. Hugh Freeze, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Lane, yeah. I don't know anything about Jeff Levy. You know what? Eli Drinkwitz every once in a while says something
he's not
stupid.
Bad. He's
He
not
says
bad.
something dumb every once in a while that I enjoy. So yeah, we'll see. It'll be interesting. But the The guys on the morning show off the bench had Joe Sloan on today, and I did find some of the things that Joe Sloan had to say to be interesting. If you want to listen to the entire interview, I highly recommend. It's like 18 minutes long, and you can catch it at OTB LSU on YouTube, and you can hear the entirety. We're just going to play a couple of clips here that I liked from the beginning of the interview, and the first was just talking about coaching Garrett Nussmeier as the new quarterback of this offense, and Joe Sloan spoke to his signal caller.
I think what we've been able to do a really good job of here with Coach Kelly and some of the other people that have worked with the quarterbacks is really having a plan for each one to make them, continue to develop and be their absolute best. And I think that's what Garrett really felt over the last couple of years is we were able to really set a plan for him and maybe be a mirror for him to where he can have a good vision of himself and what he needed to improve on. And I think he's done an unbelievable job of attacking that. But obviously once probably in the bowl game and then into spring ball, the mindset changes a little bit, right? Because you're not sitting there, your role changes. I think what I was really proud of Garrett is I watched him and he didn't go force anything. He worked. He's trying to follow his process and trying to be a leader, but doing it organically and just coming in and doing it out of consistency and trying to develop relationships with his teammates and be there for those guys. So that's what I've been probably the most proud of.
Look, I have absolutely zero concerns about Garrett Nussmeier's ability to form camaraderie with his teammates, to lead the offense emotionally, to work really hard, to study, and to bring his best attitude each and every day. Like, that's the stuff that I actually can see on the practice field and have seen from the start. You understand when you bring in a successful coach's son into your football program, far more often than not, you're going to get that. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be Joe Burrow. I'm not. Joe comes from a coaching family. Garrett Nussmeier comes from a coaching family. I'm not suggesting that it's going to be the exact same, but they're going to be the same characteristics. Garrett Nussmeier understands that camaraderie, fellowship, and a strong bond with a team is going to be important. He understands how hard you have to work to be really good at this, especially at quarterback. He understands defenses and what they're trying to accomplish on offense. He can speak the language. He's spoken it his whole life. Like, none of that is a concern at all. Now, decision-making, accuracy, how you play under pressure, all those kind of things, we'll see with Garrett Nussmeier. I'm optimistic about all that, certainly. But that's something we're going to have to learn in the season. As far as how he's going to approach mentally and emotionally and in terms of his preparation, I have no concerns about that whatsoever. And for Joe Sloan, it's just going to be exciting to work with him as the full-time starter. I will ask Garrett this eventually if it's at LSU Media Days or maybe somebody asked him on Monday, how much the bowl game actually mattered to him. And maybe you'll get a bottled coach speak answer, and maybe you'll get a truthful one. I said entering that bowl game, the ReliaQuest Bowl, I have no interest in the winner or the loser of that game. None. I don't care. I would far rather Garrett Nussmeier throw for 405, 4 touchdowns and no picks, and lose to Wisconsin than Garrett Nussmeier throw 3 interceptions, LSU pick off some backup quarterback twice, and win 17-7 in some walk-on riddled slot fest of a bowl game. Like, the wins and losses did not matter to me, and that kind of puzzled people, I think, a little bit in December. But I just cared about what the new quarterback was going to look like. And so because of that, when they took the ball at the end of the game and made that drive to go win, I did care that LSU won because the quarterback piloted the game-winning drive. And it felt to me like that month of preparation to be a starter for the first time and that execution meant something. I can't quantify it. I can't tell you exactly how much it means, and it certainly won't put any points on the scoreboard in Vegas. But it felt like that was a good thing because I think most of these guys have a massive amount of confidence and self-belief. The vast majority of them. But I can't help but think, as someone who doesn't have a ton of self-confidence and self-belief, I can't help but think that actually seeing the accomplishment and doing it helps even more. And so hopefully that's what Garrett Nussmeier takes out of that bowl game now that he is what he was in December for the first time moving into this coming fall. The other piece from Joe Sloan, they asked him what he was excited about seeing with this LSU offense, and his answer was very, very quick and very, very direct.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I'm most looking forward to seeing our offensive line. Not from necessarily the the competition standpoint that you asked about, but just in terms of we want to be offensive line driven. We want to start from the inside out. We want to be a physical football team on offense. That's what wins championships. And I think the culture in our offensive line room and the way that those guys have really come together over the last couple of years and created that mindset and created that consistency. Their approach has been unbelievable. And watching them this summer, the spring, the summer, and just how they continue to take it to the next level. And I think they're fostering the growth of the young guys behind them, right? Because we need some of that. We're going to need some of those guys too, right? We're going to need different guys to step into roles that maybe you wouldn't anticipate. So I think that room's been obviously really awesome to watch over the last year, right? And what Brad's done with that room.
I don't think he was saying that to suck up to T-Bob. I think he actually believed what he was saying there. And that's the quarterback coach talking. That's the former passing game coordinator talking about being physical and helping to run the ball. And that's got to be a core of this team, and it's got to be a pillar of what they do offensively. And I have very little doubt that that's going to be the goal and what's going to happen. You will continue to hear this. This will be a recurring theme. A lot. Like between now and the first game against USC, 20 times. You're going to hear me say it. 20 times you'll hear me say this. They couldn't run the ball worth a flip against Florida State and Alabama. That's one. 19 more to come. They could not run the ball against Florida State and Alabama. Maybe 18 more to come, probably 20. They've got to fix that this year. They have to run the ball against USC. They have to run the ball against Ole Miss. They have to run the ball against Alabama. They have to run the ball against Oklahoma. And I'm confident that they're going to work on that and be better than they were last year. You don't have the Heisman winner to bail you out. Now, maybe us can, but I'm not banking on it in July. I'm hopeful, but I'm not banking on it. I need to bank on the offensive line. That needs to be a non-negotiable and one that gives you an advantage every time you break the huddle. We up front are better than you on your front. And if that's the case, LSU's got a real chance. If it's not, their chance is minimal. You can't block, can't run the ball, and have to rely on that defense. I don't like it. You do block, you do run the ball, you do run clock, you do score a lot of points. Maybe I trust the defense. That's how quick that can turn. And I was encouraged by the fact that when asked an open-ended question about what he's excited about with this offense and getting into camp, he immediately went to the offensive line. Now, most of us are doing that on the outside anyway. I get that. But to hear the coach do that gives me a little more solace than Joe message board, Joe analyst, Joe radio host, Joe newspaper writer. I like it when the guy who's been at practice, been in the film room, been in game planning decisions, breaking down things that are about to happen. I like it when he says it. So if you want to hear the entirety of that Joe Sloan interview earlier today, you can do so. You can catch the full episode of OTB On Demand, or you can catch that on OTB LSU on YouTube, cut down to about 19 minutes. All right, just about done here on a Friday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show presented by Cork's Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp. Take one more time out. We'll play Take It or Leave It, and that's it. Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to the Hunt Palmer Show.
Every shot, every goal, ESPN Bet has got fans covered for the biggest moments in sports. The exclusive sportsbook of ESPN is the only place to find special offers and promotions from your favorite ESPN shows and personalities. New users can get a bet reset up to $1,000 in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. So download ESPN Bet today. What a play. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. In partnership with the Bears Lake Charles. Must be 21 or older. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Get the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge app powered by Bayou Ford and tap the microphone icon to send us your thoughts in an audio message. Your message could be played on air during Off the Bench with Esther and T-Bob, The Hunt Palmer Show, and after further review with Matt Moscone.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Farming is a way of life for us. It's not something we get up in the morning and dread going do. It's just something we go to bed at night looking forward to getting up to go do. John Deere equipment is what we as farmers strive to have. So it's in your blood, it's in your veins. It's just a part of who you are. Green is what we want to be in. The other tractors were acquired to patch it up to get to where you want to be. Where we want to be is in John Deere. Flip the switch and learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Friday's AFR, presented by Don Juan Cigar Bar. Finally, the Riot Radio Hours return. Terrio's in studio. We'll send you into the weekend with a little fun. 3 to 6. 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Coming July 15th, that's just 3 days from now, the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge 2K a Day Summer Cash Giveaway brought to you by Citizens Bank and Trust. Stay tuned for details on the word of the day coming this entire week of July 15th and your chance to win extra cash for the summer. And then we've also got the MLB on ESPN Radio this Saturday, tomorrow, doubleheader. First, the Orioles will host the Yankees at 3, followed by the Padres and the Braves at 6:15 p.m. right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show, brought to you by Corks, Cajun Fried Fish and Shrimp.
You telling me the Orioles are still fielding the baseball team?
I don't know how.
After they were
they
just
got
embarrassed?
completely embarrassed by the Cubs, who
My
are on a
gosh.
heater right now. Hunt, we're back. I'm back.
Fit
I'm
'em
back
for
as a
rings.
fan.
Fit him for rings.
I was ready to give up on the season, but they're
First
clearly
sweep of Baltimore in 73 series.
That's
by
a lot.
the Chicago Cubs.
That's a lot of series.
What a team.
Ian Happ put one out on what was the street name?
Utah Street.
Yeah, Utah Street. Is that right? Yeah, he gets a plaque out there now.
He does. He and Jason Hayward.
He and
are the
Jason
two
Hayward,
Cubs.
who somehow did that when he hit
had
like
to have been
one of
BP.
his 5 home runs as a Cub.
Worst contract ever. But we got a championship out of it. So
Did.
we will take it. Corks brings you our Friday shows each and every week. Crispy, clean-cut catfish, jumbo Gulf shrimp. Their recipe born right here in the seafood capital of the world, South Louisiana. Got those crispy shoestring fries, the honey butter rolls, hush puppies, coleslaw. It's all awesome, and you can have it right there on Government between Foster and Jefferson. I always remind you, if you're going to feed the office, catering, birthday parties, whatever the case may be, Corks loves to do catering orders, and they're happy to help you with big trays of catfish, big trays of shrimp, French fries, hush puppies. They got all your sauces they'll bring in there as well. So just give them a little bit of notice, and they're happy to do your catering over at Corks. Check out the menu, corksfishandshrimp.com. All right, Beck, take it or leave it.
All righty, first one here. Carlos Alcaraz and Novak Djokovic will meet again in the Wimbledon final as they did last year's tournament, which of course Alcaraz won in a 5-set thriller. Djokovic will get payback Sunday morning. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I'm going to go with Alcaraz here. They're both very, very good. Alcaraz a little more in his prime. Djokovic, hard to argue against at this point with his resume.
He did have surgery like a couple months ago.
Got
so
the sleeve on his leg. It's not looking perfect, but he's been very good in Wimbledon. But I'll take Alcaraz. I can't claim to watch every shot they've hit for the last 2 weeks, but I'll take Alcaraz.
I haven't watched it all. I've watched a couple of Alcaraz's matches. Djokovic did have a walkover in the semifinal, so he's had more rest, so that should probably help him a little bit, especially with the surgery. But Alcaraz has been incredible this tournament. Even after losing the first set in multiple matches, he's just come back and been absolutely dominant. So I'll take Alcaraz as well. Moving on, Justin Jefferson became the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history a few months ago. Of course, 4 years, $140 million. He'll be making the same amount of money as Jordan Poole of the Washington Wizards. Take it or leave it.
Oh, man. I'll leave it. I think that Justin Jefferson probably deserves a few more dollars than Jordan Poole. But that just goes to say what those NBA salaries are doing. Not that Jordan Poole's a bad player. He's a very nice player. Justin Jefferson's the best receiver in the NFL, and that's incredible. And it's probably going to push more and more people to grab a basketball and shoot some hoops because they got to spend the money somewhere. Those max deals are being handed out like candy to everyone except Brandon Ingram, it appears, who's searching for some more cash. But that's a funny comp. A funny comp there.
He is the 48th highest paid NBA player. Also, you don't have to worry about too many hits to the head when you play in the NBA too. So that's probably a plus as well.
Unless you're in the malice of the palace.
Moving on, Oregon quarterback Dylan Gabriel is now the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy with plus 750 odds at ESPN Bet after moving past Georgia quarterback Carson Beck, my favorite to win it, and Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers, who following multiple bets placed on Gabriel at the Superbook in Vegas last Sunday. Gabriel as the favorite. Take it or leave it.
I'll leave it. I think that
makes sense.
It does make sense. Oregon's is a hot name.
Dan Lanning's
they're
really
out there.
coach.
Dan Lanning's a good coach. They're in the Big Ten now. I just feel like they're going to lose some games, even though I can't give you their schedule right off the top of my head. I just feel like there's some teams that are waiting for them there in the Big Ten. Although Michigan may not be as good, so I get it. I would probably. I think the smart money is probably on like Milroe. Like if you're getting some real odds there. Like he's going to put up big numbers because he runs like crazy and they're going to win a lot of games. So I think all those guys are reasonable bets, but if I'm looking for a real bet to cash with some odds, probably Miller. And it's for sure at some point in August, we'll take the Heisman Trophy odds and try to spend $100 and see how that goes. But I don't have an issue with Gabriel.
Not to be a homer, but honestly, Nussmeier probably not a bad shout just because, I mean, LSU's had 2 of the past 3 or 4, not 2 of the past like 5 Heisman, I think. Yeah, Burrow and Daniel. So I mean, with LSU's got plenty of weapons, so he's probably got pretty good odds right now, I would guess.
For sure.
All right, and the last one here, Monty Kiffin passed away Thursday. Lane's father, of course. The Tampa 2 is the most memorable defense in NFL history. Take it or leave it.
Interesting. I'll take it. I can't recall another defense that had that kind. I mean, the 85 Bears is a unit, but it's not like a scheme. It's just guys that were
just players,
ass kickers. Tampa 2, yeah. I mean, I don't know who invented the blitz or what the situation was. It's not, but it's like the West Coast offense you can just directly attribute to Bill Walsh's tree and the 49ers, and this Tampa 2 you can directly attribute to Monty Kiffin. So I think that's a reasonable take there. Most memorable defense in NFL history. All right, that's it for Take It or Leave It here on this Friday. Our schedule moving forward into next week, as Beck talked about earlier. Jacob and T-Bob on the road, as is Rivers. Matt Moscona will be on the road. They will be anchoring our coverage from Dallas, the Omni Hotel, SEC Media Days from Radio Row. That will start Monday morning with Off the Bench 7 to 10. LSU does take its turn on Monday, so a lot of action there. But 4 teams every day for 4 days from Dallas, and they'll have you covered wall to wall. I'll be back here in Baton Rouge. I'll be previewing the teams that take their turn, and we'll also certainly be monitoring the MLB draft coming up. Is this it? We got 15 seconds? We got 1 minute and 15 seconds.
Oh, yeah, 1 minute.
Thank
sorry.
you. I never know. Sometimes you got an extra break.
I messed up the clock. The clock here is. I got multiple clocks messed up.
We got a minute left. So they'll be there. They'll start on Monday. Always a really cool week for us here in Radio Land. I know that the doldrums of summer can be tough, but next week's going to be a lot of fun. The MLB draft's going to give us a lot to talk about. I'm excited to do that. I don't know how much of that Jacob, T-Bob, and Matt will be doing. I got you covered here on that front, but they'll have a lot of content from SEC Football Media Days, and we'll be kind of piggybacking off of all of that here. So if you missed any of our show today, catch it on demand. 1045ESPN.com's on-demand tab, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google. Wherever you find your sound, you can find us. You can certainly find us on YouTube as well. I opened talking about Paul Skenes being pulled from the game yesterday and his All-Star starter candidacy. Preston Guy, TigerBait.com, talking football. Steve Gleason's ESPY speech. I gave my predictions on the MLB draft, which cranks up on Sunday. Bryce Underwood and Harlan Berry, they're not going anywhere, and they don't care that much about money. Joe Sloan talking LSU offense. Go catch all that on demand. We're done. Matt's going to drive you home on AFR. Have a great weekend. We're back Monday on The Hunt Palmer Show.
You are now listening to The Hunt Palmer Show.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors,